Think back to the 1960s, a time when the world was changing fast and headlines were filled with serious news. But for children of that era, there was an escape as a vibrant wave of melody took over the radio. Get ready to tap your feet as we count down the absolute ultimate kids playlist. These are the 10 super catchy songs that defined childhood in the 60s. Number 10, Hello Muddah, Hello Fadduh by Alan Sherman, 1963.
Hello Muddah, hello Fadduh.
The post-war era saw the massive, widespread explosion of the highly organized American summer camp industry. Thousands of young kids were being shipped away into the remote woods for weeks at a time. They consistently experienced intense, crushing homesickness, strange outdoor activities, and frequently terrible rainy weather. It was a shared, universally miserable experience for a whole generation of somewhat sheltered suburban children. But shockingly, no one had ever written a relatable hit song for these homesick, incredibly unhappy campers.
I went hiking with Joe Spivey. He developed...
Alan Sherman was an absolute, undeniable master of the highly specific musical comedy parody genre. He uniquely specialized in taking famous, serious classical melodies and adding hilarious, highly relatable modern lyrics. For this particular iconic track, he brilliantly used the beautiful, soaring music of Ponchielli's Dance of the Hours.
Oh, I don't want this should scare you, but my...
The incredibly sharp contrast between that serious, elegant classical music and the silly story was absolute genius. Sherman wrote a desperate, intensely complaining letter from camp poem to accompany that highly dramatic musical backdrop.
All the counselors hate the waiters and the late...
It was highly sophisticated, incredibly witty comedy that still managed to appeal directly to the hearts of children. Hello Muddah, Hello Fadduh is a pure, undeniable masterpiece of situational, highly observational humor. The funny narrative perfectly details a truly awful, completely chaotic experience at the fictional Camp Granada. It lists highly specific problems, like disappearing lakes, horrible poison ivy, and dangerous wildlife in hilarious detail.
He developed poison ivy.
Every single child who had ever felt completely homesick saw themselves perfectly reflected in this comedic song. The clever, surprisingly happy twist at the very end makes the whole miserable, funny journey completely worth it. Sherman's unique vocal delivery is perfectly flat, highly whiny, and wonderfully, appropriately exaggerated for comedic effect. He absolutely perfectly captured the exact dramatic voice of an unhappy child writing home to their parents.
Muddah, Fadduh, kindly disregard this ladder.
The orchestral backing track swells and crashes, adding an incredibly hilarious layer of completely unearned drama. It remains a masterclass in how to perfectly execute a high-concept musical comedy premise flawlessly.
Dearest Fadduh, darling Muddah.
Number 9, The Loco-Motion by Little Eva, 1962.
So come on, do the locomotion with me.
In the early 1960s, a massive dance craze was rapidly sweeping across the entire planet. Adults and teenagers alike were furiously doing the twist and the mashed potato at every local party. Everyone was looking for the next simple, exciting physical move they could quickly master and show off. There was a huge, undeniable desire for energetic music that absolutely anyone could instantly dance to. The culture was craving active, physical participation instead of just passively listening to crooners on the radio. Don Kirshner and the highly successful writers at the Brill Building saw this massive cultural trend happening. Carole King and Jerry Goffin, an unstoppable songwriting duo, were completely ready to capitalize on the moment. They desperately wanted to create a vibrant, rhythmic song with built-in, incredibly easy-to-follow physical instructions.
Do it holding hands if you get the notion.
Legend famously says they based the core idea on their teenage babysitter, a young woman named Eva Boyd. They watched her happily dancing around the house one day, and the musical inspiration struck them instantly. It was a truly perfect storm of brilliant musical creativity and incredibly sharp business savvy. They immediately rushed Eva Boyd into the recording studio under the catchy stage name Little Eva. The resulting track, the Loco-Motion, was sheer, unadulterated pop genius that demanded physical movement from the listener.
Move around the floor in a locomotion.
The lyrics were essentially direct, step-by-step instructions on exactly how to perform the brand new dance. You simply didn't need to overthink the physical moves. You just had to literally follow the singing. The track was incredibly kinetic, incredibly fast, and boasted a deeply infectious rhythm that grabbed your attention. The dense production heavily featured bright, blaring saxophones and booming heavy drums that commanded everyone to stand up.
There's never been a dance that's so easy to do. It even makes
The energetic backup singers acted like a cheering crowd, encouraging you to join the fun on the floor. The song was a massive, immediate commercial success from the exact moment it was finally released. It perfectly captured the youthful, highly energetic zeitgeist of the early 1960s pop music scene.
so come on, do the locomotion with me.
Number 8. Itsy Bitsy Teenie Weenie Yellow Polka Dot Bikini by Brian Hyland, 1960.
Was an itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow polka dot.
It is exactly 1960, and American pop culture is heavily focused on the booming teenage beach lifestyle. Summer vacations and surf culture were rapidly becoming the absolute center of the young post-war world. However, the radio was still largely dominated by serious doo-wop ballads and early, slightly rebellious rock and roll. Younger kids and families were desperately waiting for a completely harmless, purely fun summer anthem.
An itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow polka dot bikini.
They needed a bouncy, memorable novelty song that perfectly captured the bright, sunny innocence of a day at the beach. Songwriters Paul Vance and Lee Pockris were highly observant professionals working in the bustling New York music scene. Vance was suddenly struck by a brilliant, highly relatable idea while simply watching his young daughter at the beach. She was wearing a tiny new swimsuit and felt incredibly, adorably shy about stepping out into the open sand.
She was afraid to come out of the locker. She was
He immediately recognized that this specific, universally understood feeling of innocent embarrassment was absolute pop music gold. He quickly rushed back to his writing partner to turn this cute family moment into a massive, unforgettable hit. They needed exactly the right voice to deliver this highly specific, completely innocent comedic story to the masses. They discovered a 16-year-old singer named Brian Hyland, who possessed the absolute perfect boy-next-door vocal charm.
She's afraid to come out of the water. And
Hyland's smooth, incredibly unthreatening delivery was the exact, crucial ingredient to make the silly narrative completely work. He recorded the vocal with a sense of genuine sweetness that perfectly anchored the chaotic, bouncy instrumentation. The producers famously added a deeply catchy, staccato backing vocal that sounded exactly like a cheering beach crowd.
it was an itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow polka dot.
The song's structure is an absolute masterclass in building highly engaging, irresistible musical anticipation for the listener.
An itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow polka dot bikini. So
Each verse acts exactly like a dramatic countdown, brilliantly describing the shy girl's journey from the locker room to the water. The musical arrangement is incredibly playful, heavily featuring a plinking piano and a steady, marching drumbeat. The massive, wordy chorus is a brilliant tongue twister that children completely loved to memorize and sing at top speed. It essentially operates like a brightly colored, highly engaging musical cartoon playing directly in your ears.
it was an itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow polka dot.
Number 7. Lily the Pink by The Scaffold, 1968. Imagine it is 1968 and the world feels heavily divided by intense politics and constant cultural shifts. Parents and older siblings were listening to complex protest songs and highly experimental rock on the radio. Children and families desperately needed something entirely different to break the heavy daily tension building up around them. They needed a whimsical, silly track that felt like a comforting modern nursery rhyme to escape reality. The Scaffold knew exactly what they were doing when they created this bizarre, wonderfully unique track. They were not your typical polished pop group, but rather a chaotic comedy and poetry trio from Liverpool. The group notably included Mike McGear, who was actually the famous Paul McCartney's younger brother. Because of this powerful familial connection, they had access to incredible studio resources and famous friends for backing vocals. They decided to completely rewrite a traditional folk song about a historic, highly dubious medicinal tonic. It was the absolute perfect blend of dry, sarcastic British humor and a brilliantly catchy, simple melody. Their extensive background in live stage comedy helped them create a vibe that was purely entertaining and joyful. They successfully took the bare skeleton of the old folk song and added a brilliant modern pop sensibility. The clever, rapid-fire lyrics detailed highly absurd medicinal cures for various comical, completely made-up ailments. Each unique verse acted exactly like a short, funny comedy sketch put to upbeat, driving acoustic music. They carefully ensured the central chorus was incredibly easy to learn and incredibly fun to sing out loud. The ultimate artistic goal was to make the recording sound exactly like a giant, joyful, crowded pub party. You can clearly hear that highly infectious, wonderfully chaotic energy bubbling throughout the final, polished recording. Number 6. Monster Mash by Bobby Boris Pickett, 1962.
He did the Monster Mash. It was a graveyard.
The early 1960s were absolutely, undeniably obsessed with classic, highly spooky Hollywood horror monsters. Famous, iconic creatures like Count Dracula, the Wolfman, and Frankenstein's monster were making a massive cultural comeback. Kids were religiously watching these old, atmospheric black and white movies on syndicated afternoon television programs. There was a booming, highly profitable culture around creature features, spooky comic books, and monster toys. Everyone loved being safely scared, and the pop radio was desperately waiting for the ultimate Halloween anthem.
They did the Monster Mash.
Bobby Pickett was an aspiring, hardworking actor and singer who possessed a very specific, special vocal skill. He was incredibly, remarkably good at doing a flawless impression of horror film icon Boris Karloff. One fateful night, his clever bandmate finally convinced him to use that spooky voice in a rock song.
They did the Monster Mash. The zombies were having fun.
They desperately wanted to create a track that was simultaneously spooky, genuinely funny, and highly danceable. They drew brilliant structural inspiration from another massive, currently popular novelty hit called Alley Oop.
They played the Monster Mash.
Their singular, highly focused goal was to make the definitive, incredibly tongue-in-cheek monster dance party record. Monster Mash is a perfect, highly enduring construction of novelty pop music, comedy, and rhythm. Bobby Pickett's pitch-perfect impression of Boris is completely legendary, serving as the absolute perfect narrator.
Whatever happened to my Transylvania twist?
He also brilliantly adds a hilarious, heavily accented Dracula voice responding in the background of the track. The silly story tells of a mad scientist whose monster suddenly wakes up and performs a brand new dance. All the classic, deeply famous creatures eventually show up to the spooky castle and join the fun.
My Monster Mash is the hit of the land. For you, the lift.
The clever instrumentation heavily uses brilliant, highly evocative sound effects like bubbling beakers and rattling iron chains. The music itself is a standard, highly catchy, incredibly familiar 1960s rock and roll chord progression. The backup singers mimic the popular doo-wop style of the era, adding a wonderful layer of pop polish.
He did the Monster Mash. It was a graveyard.
Number 5. I'm a Believer by the Monkees, 1966. Move past 1965, popular rock music was beginning to fracture and become highly serious. But there was still a massive, incredibly hungry audience for straightforward, exceptionally upbeat pop music. Teenagers and preteens desperately wanted great melodies without the heavy, complicated political messages. The Monkees were a brilliant, completely unprecedented multimedia creation designed specifically for television. Producers recruited 4 charming, highly entertaining young men to portray a fun, wacky rock band. This massive, undeniable hit, I'm a Believer, was actually written by the legendary songwriter Neil Diamond. The track itself is a perfectly oiled, unstoppable machine of pure, unadulterated musical joy. The iconic, swirling organ riff at the very beginning instantly grabs your undivided attention. Mickey Dolenz's incredibly energetic lead vocal is deeply filled with genuine, irrepressible enthusiasm.
Love is only true in fairy tales.
The melody is scientifically designed to be absolutely impossible to forget. I'm a Believer was an absolute, undeniable global smash hit right out of the gate. It was easily one of the biggest, fastest-selling songs of 1966 for all possible demographics. Its universal, infectious joy and flawless studio production absolutely make it a must-have. Number 4, A Spoonful of Sugar by Julie Andrews, 1964.
A spoonful of sugar helps the medicine.
Children's entertainment in the early 60s was frequently very straightforward and remarkably simple. But Disney was heavily preparing to release Mary Poppins, a highly ambitious and deeply sophisticated film. This massive movie needed completely unforgettable music that didn't just entertain, but heavily elevated the story.
For a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down.
The Sherman Brothers were Disney's legendary, utterly brilliant songwriting masters tasked with this challenge. They beautifully created a song about happily doing your incredibly boring, everyday household chores. Robert Sherman remembered his own children receiving a simple sugar cube to help swallow medicine. A Spoonful of Sugar is an absolute, undeniable masterclass in musical storytelling and rich character building.
Spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down in a most...
It is brilliantly led by Julie Andrews, whose incredibly pristine voice is pure, undeniable perfection. The lyrics brilliantly, gently teach that your personal attitude entirely determines how you experience work.
Honey bees that fetch the nectar from the flowers to the comb.
The lasting impact of this wonderful, charming song was immense, completely instantaneous, and truly global. It didn't just support the highly successful film, it quickly became an immortal classic. It perfectly captures the pure, deeply enduring, and highly comforting magic associated with classic Disney.
He knows your name.
Number 3, Sugar Sugar by the Archies, 1969. By late 1969, the popular rock music on the radio was frequently serious, highly complex, and heavy. A brand new subgenre called bubblegum pop was rapidly emerging to strongly counter this serious trend. The recording industry was completely ready for a track that was pure, uncomplicated, and completely fun. The truly amazing thing about the Archies is that they weren't even a real, physical band. They were highly popular animated cartoon characters based on the highly successful comic book series. Producer Don Kirshner hired brilliant, completely anonymous studio musicians to create the incredibly catchy music. Sugar Sugar is the absolute perfect, completely flawless realization of the iconic bubblegum pop sound. The core, driving melody is incredibly simple, and the sweet, sugary chorus repeats for maximum stickiness. It is meticulously, scientifically designed to be a perfect 3-minute burst of pure musical candy. The massive public response was completely unprecedented for a non-existent, entirely animated band. Sugar Sugar miraculously became the absolute #1 song on the Billboard year-end chart for 1969. Its sheer, completely infectious catchiness makes it the definitive, ultimate bubblegum song of the entire decade. Number 2, Yellow Submarine by the Beatles, 1966. By 1966, the Beatles had completely conquered the globe and were heavily pushing musical boundaries. They were actively, constantly looking for exciting ways to experiment in the recording studio. At the same time, Paul McCartney desperately wanted to write a simple, fun children's song. The Beatles amazingly took this incredibly simple idea and easily turned it into a studio masterpiece. Paul brought the core, catchy melody and Ringo was perfectly cast as the friendly narrator. The band happily treated the entire song like a complete, joyful, and highly experimental sonic playground. They recorded themselves using actual heavy brass instruments and hilarious sound effects like blowing bubbles. The entire brilliant recording perfectly feels like a giant, highly welcoming party that the listener is invited to. The deep, lasting legacy of Yellow Submarine is simply massive and undeniably truly global.
We all live in a yellow submarine.
The wonderful song was a colossal hit, heavily proving the Beatles could easily master any genre. It is truly the absolute ultimate, completely cross-generational sing-along that everyone in the world knows. Number 1, The Bare Necessities by Phil Harris and Bruce Reitherman, 1967.
I mean the bare necessities on Mother Nature's rest.
As the decade progressed, bold new creators were frequently challenging highly traditional animation methods. Disney's next major, highly anticipated film was a completely fresh adaptation of The Jungle Book. This specifically meant the music had to perfectly, flawlessly deliver the film's core positive philosophy.
For the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities.
This brilliant, completely unforgettable musical gem was written by folk singer and talented songwriter Terry Gilkyson. His highly unique background gave this wonderful song a simple, deeply relaxed charm that easily stood out. The Bare Necessities is a flawless, incredibly joyful set of instructions for living a good life. It's masterfully, perfectly sung by Phil Harris, using his incredibly warm, gravelly, jazz-inflected voice.
I mean the bare necessities, that's why a bear can...
The exceptionally clever lyrics brilliantly teach children to stop worrying and fully appreciate exactly what they have. This remarkable song isn't just highly popular. It is a permanent part of our collective language. It beautifully became the signature anthem for the entire film and a global symbol for happiness. Its core, beautiful message of simplicity is the absolute perfect #1 song for any generation.
The bare necessities of life will come to you.
Thanks for joining our countdown of the 10 super catchy kids songs from the 1960s. We hope you enjoyed this musical journey and discovered some incredibly fun vintage tracks. Did your absolute favorite song make the list, or do you have another classic from that decade? Tell us your favorite catchy 1960s song down in the comments below. And before you go, please make sure to like and subscribe to our channel for more fantastic pop culture countdowns.